Okay, let's go back to our premise here. And this is a very hopeful premise. Remember, as an action-adventure fiction writer, if you had to figure out what the heck was going on in the world, and you didn't know that it was just, progressives, early 20th century progressives that, again, for some strange reason, hate the Jews and love eugenics, you might say, well, wait a minute. What have we learned in the last few years? We have learned that we cannot take on China with Taiwan. We can't do that in peacetime, okay? There's no way to do it. We are not prepared to do that. It's too far away from all of our bases, et cetera, et cetera. We've also found the endless wars are draining, okay? And we certainly could not take on three fronts because the Middle East will be on fire. You know that Russia would get involved and China we would be fighting. So we can't do three fronts. So if you are really, really sharp and you love America and you believed what everybody was saying and you knew we couldn't let Taiwan go because we won't be able to make the supercomputer chips because Taiwan has the clean rooms and the highest quality to make all of the supercomputer chips. We don't make them. Taiwan does. We can't lose Taiwan. Okay, so what do? You look at everything and you say, okay, China's economy is failing. They're close, but they've just upped their spending with the Navy, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody knows this is going to happen. So you think, okay, how can we do this? Hear me out on this. You pick Iran because Iran can get involved. They want to defeat America. They continue to sell oil to China. China imports about 70% of its energy supplies. Much of that is from Iran via sanctioned and illegal oil sales. Plus, China might promise to help Iran finish their nuclear bomb, right? Then you have Russia, the other ally that we would worry about. There's a chance they want to weaken America. In fact, a very good chance, and level the playing field. They need to level the playing field, especially against our aircraft carriers. And they need to also keep selling oil to Europe and to China. That's just the China is about half their GDP. Now, if you war game this, when the U.S. goes to war with China, we lose. But we also have to fight Russia in Europe and Iran in the Middle East. Those are three theaters of war. We can't handle that. But what? What if Iran and Russia could not come in on China's side in 3 years down the road? Everybody looks at you and you're sitting there in the briefing room and you say, hear me out. What if Russia and Iran had already been taken out? What if they'd already been neutralized before we had to fight China? Everybody looks at you like you have lobsters growing out of your ears. We don't have any political support here in the U.S. for wars with Russia and Iran, especially in this election cycle. No way Congress would approve this. The administration won't approve that. The American people wouldn't support it. You say proxies. We don't have to fight Russia and Iran. We get proxies to take them out for us. All they need is a little push and a ton of weapons. Just the right motivation, and they'll take them out for us. The room gets silent, and you're sitting there, and you say, so, who's dumb enough to fight two land wars in Asia? You smile and say, well, NATO. NATO can take out Russia. Israel can take out Iran. You have to do it just right. NATO and Israel could never know we're using them like that. We can't just go out there and bribe them. They have to be so motivated that they'd risk their own survival and beef up their own military budgets to take Putin and the Ayatollahs out for us. We supply the weapons. They do the fighting. Everybody's in on the great game all of a sudden. The trick is we have to get Russia to invade. How do we do that? Why don't we just say Ukraine is going to be part of NATO? That's been a red line forever. Everybody knows that. They'll feel threatened. Putin invades Ukraine. NATO will come to the rescue with guns and money. Ukraine does the dirty work, but we make sure they have enough to win. Yeah, but Israel, well, Israel's going to need to be attacked, and much worse than ever before. Why don't we just release all of the funds to Iran so they have all of the money to plan an attack on Israel that is so large and so heinous that they'll be forced to use their own military to take them out, which will then force Iran to join in, and then Israel takes them out. We just need the weapons, guys, because we need the weapons in 3 years when we're going after China, and all of our weapons are outdated and old. We need a whole new generation, but we have all of these weapons sitting here. And there's no way we could, with cost overruns, you know, with everything that comes with giant military production, how are you going to get the American people to do it? Well, we'll just tell them the truth. We're out of armaments. And then we will have to rebuild our army. Maybe we could even convince China in the end, if Russia and Iran falls, they have no real allies. Don't take Taiwan. Thoughts? I think the only reason why I don't believe this is because we're evil enough to do it, but I don't believe it because I don't think we're smart enough to do it. I don't think there's enough, hey, we all love America here. Let's do, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's the evil, generals and the war planners and everything. I think there's enough of those in Washington, the Lindsey Grahams that are like, yeah, we got to get them. At any cost, we get them. I think those guys exist.
There's a lot of that type of stuff that you were talking about there where you throw things out like, well, and then Israel will take out Iran. Like, think of what it looks like, right? Like, these little assumptions that you make in one half sentence is like hundreds of thousands, millions of people dead.
What is the difference? This is the way the elites always do it.
No, I know.
They did it World War I, World War II.
It's real-time strategy. It's those old games where you used to like drag your troops around and you'd have them attack the little base and then you'd rebuild and you wouldn't think about the little guys that are going in there and dying.
Correct.
That is the way this is thought about.
I mean,
it's risk.
I thought of this. I'm reading a book, or I was reading a book on JFK. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was the JFK assassination. And it's just documenting how many people hated him. Okay? They hated him. The military, CIA, he really had a problem with those guys, just like Donald Trump. Really had a problem with those guys. And he did not like the way we were fighting the Cold War. And he's like, we are not going to keep escalating this war. And one of the generals, I can't remember his name, but he was in charge of maybe NATO strategy, or he was big. And he absolutely believed that thermonuclear war was inevitable. And he was pushing hard. Launch first. Launch right now. It's inevitable. So launch now. They'll never see it coming. We can take them out. Launch now. This is not Cuban Missile Crisis time. This is when he first gets into office. Launch. And he actually goes around Kennedy's back and is calling him weak for not doing this. I mean, it was a legitimate campaign inside the Pentagon to just launch our missiles. Did you know that?
I think maybe you've told it to me, or I've heard it maybe once, but it's impossible to believe. And of course, these people, there's always somebody like that. I guarantee you think it's bad here. How many people are doing that in Russia right now? How many people are going behind Vladimir Putin's back and saying, "Hey, like this guy won't even fire the nukes"? I mean, they're giving weapons to Ukraine. They're killing our people. How is he not firing these things? there's a huge faction inside of Russia who's pushing that hardline approach. And God forbid one of them wins an argument one day over vodkas. Who God only knows what happens.
Wait until you see what we're going to show you tonight about Russia and Iran and what they're actually doing and saying to one another and the language they're sharing with one another. It is spooky. It is they are serious. They are serious.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is the biggest worry, right? There's just this instability everywhere right now. It's instability combined with a bunch of really incompetent people who don't know what they're doing and don't know how to manage this sort of instability at the helm here in America. And you, of course, have, I mean, our share of instability has been well documented here over the past few weeks, especially. So you put all that together and like, it's just at some point you wonder if it's all going to spiral out of control.
So let me ask you, have you ever seen our government pay for hostages? I think the only time we did it was the Iran-Contra thing, right?
I mean, I don't off the top of my head that one pops to mind.
I think so.
There may be more.
So we had that one, but didn't we pay the Contras and they brokered the deal? So we weren't really paying Iran. We were paying the revolutionaries in South America.
And they would kind of say the same thing now, right? I mean, they would kind of say, well, no, we're not really paying for hostages.
Yes.
We're in this program, and this is going these dollars are going, they always have some way of getting around it technically.
Have we ever rewarded a terrorist state? Have we ever, like another, I don't even know. I keep seeing reports that say billion and million and no money from the government ever seems like real money. So I have no idea. But I think it's $10 billion. And we released it yesterday. The State Department did. And they said, well, it's because it's for medical stuff.
Yeah. What was their excuse?
What?
Well, they're going to do terrorism anyway. They're going to fund terror no matter what. So we might as well give them an extra $10 billion because, they really said basically they're going to do this anyway. So it doesn't matter if we give them a bunch of extra money.
In what world does that make sense?
Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer's going to kill Laotian teenagers anyway. So we sent him over a bunt cake. Like, what are you talking about? That's not a good argument.
He's not going to want a bunt cake. I've been pushing for the extra double-size refrigerator freezer. Bunt cake.
I just feel like that's not a good idea. Like, just because it's like, these people are really bad actors, so therefore the reward isn't going to incentivize more bad acting. Why? So let's give them the reward. Well, that's not a good argument.
And you don't use that in anything.
No, it would be a terrible, terrible thing to do. And it is. And of course, we all know, as the Iranians, last time we tried to do this, pointed out to us, this money is fungible. It'll go wherever we want it to go.
They told us that.
They said it publicly.
Like they're going to give their people medicine.
Oh, that's a huge concern for them. They're really worried. You know what? Oh, gosh. Do we have enough Robitussin for the population? I don't know.
Their God says, wipe out Israel, bring the Mahdi back, and we'll start the end of the world war. That's our top priority. God is telling us that. Yeah, but we don't have enough Robitussin.
Yeah,
Come on.
That's not a big concern for them.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.